Good morning, Garden of England, Monday morning. So I want to give you an update on where I am with the island thing on Iona. So first of all, I'm really grateful for the contributions that I've got from people. I mean, I've already looked at Lindisfarne and Holy Isle, and I've looked at dates, so that's not possible. The idea of Millport and Angela's comments I'm really grateful for, and I think I might end up doing one there sometime. But the Little Cumbria, George's idea, I've sailed round that a number of times, and whilst it would be probably an amazing place for quietude in terms of a retreat, it's not got the dynamic that I would need to do the island. So Iona, funnily enough, is a place that was always in my mind as I was writing the island. And Iona provides so many benefits for me. It's on my bucket list to go and teach an island there, even if it's just to one person. And so I'm going to stick with Iona. Millport came up there, you notice that? So my thinking is, if I do an island on Iona and it's, let's say, successful in the May time, I may well look at doing Millport at the end of the summer next year. So that's a thought, but I wouldn't rely on it. So yeah, it's a selfish thing about going back to Iona to do it. I say go back, the last time I was there was before the dream of the house across the river ever happened. And I went there working for social work and education, and I took a bunch of unemployed people up to the Camas Outdoor Centre, which is owned by the Iona community, and it's an extraordinary location on Mull, not far away from Iona, funnily enough. And we had an amazing week there, and part of it was we went to visit Iona, and I'd been there before. I'd been on an open week there years before that, but it was nice just to go over for the day. And whilst we got a sort of viewing around the abbey and such like, I gave them free time, and a few of them came with me up the hill to what's called the Hermit Cell, which is a kind of hollowed out bowl thing now, or back then covered in grass, and as I remember, about 15 foot in diameter. And we sat in there, and you look out across the Atlantic, and the next stop is America. And I was experimenting back then with meditation techniques, even before MindStore and stuff, and it was just extraordinary. And I want to go back. I want to go back all these years later to do a meditation there, the MindStore way, really deep. And so that's a selfish thing, I know, but teaching the island on that particular island would be a dream for me. So whilst there's other possibilities, none of them are Iona. And if you ever stepped on Iona, you will know that it's extraordinary. And here's the thing about Iona for me, given that the reason why I did the retreat it was a few weeks ago, was because I was wanting to do my own personal spiritual journey thing about camping. I think I mentioned that in the early videos when I was talking about the idea. And so Iona, if you know the history of Iona, that's where St. Columba brought Christianity to Scotland. That's where he landed. He didn't land in any other islands, certainly not the ones suggested, not even Arran, which had been relatively close to him. No, he landed Source, whatever you think about that. Source brought him to Iona. And as soon as you step on Iona, you know that it's special. So, not only for me, the selfish wanting to teach in a location that just buzzes me, but I know that if you can get out of your comfort zone to embrace the dynamic there and maybe risk yourself to do it the way we're going to have to do it, then something special will happen for you, without doubt. So here's where I'm at. I've got an offer of the hall. There's two rooms apparently in the hall. One can take 120, but there's no way that even if we were planning this 2 years ahead, can I imagine we would ever get enough accommodation of the type people would prefer to get 120 people in that hall for 2 days. But there's also a hall for 36, and I can just imagine the wonder of sharing it with a group that size. That would be just amazing. And whilst there is no accommodation available in any of the timescales I looked at, in terms of normal, like, you know, going into a bed and breakfast or a hotel, Airbnb and stuff, without doubt there's currently space, because I've made phone calls. There's space in the pods, and there's space obviously in the campsite. Now, but I will say this, I wouldn't want anybody to attend this island who selfishly booked out a pod just for themselves. These pods are for sharing, and so some of the pods have 3 beds, 1 double, 2 singles. One might have a bed and a bed sofa, and if one person selfishly took one of them and deprived others of participating, do you think I would want them on the course? Do you think the other people doing the course would want to be sitting among someone like that? I don't think so. So you're going to have to get out your comfort zone if you want to have a pod. Having your own little private £19 tent that I've got, that'd be up to you. Now the tent thing, of course, is potentially threatening with the weather in Scotland, and particularly on an island so remote. So I think that what I'm going to do is I'm going to call the lady I spoke to, who seems to take the bookings for the island hall. Dogs barking, must be important this. I'm going to see if the weather was inclement, whether she would allow those of us who were camping to bring our sleeping bag and a mat into the hall overnight. Not all our gear in so as to cause, you know, frighten the life out of them, but just still have your tent there, but just bring in those necessities. And I'm pretty sure I should be able to work at that, program that, and maybe if there's a little extra feed, I'm sure everybody will be willing to have that as a safety net, not as a prerequisite, just in the case of inclement weather. So that's where my head's at. So between the pods on the island and between the camping, there's certainly space for 36 souls participating in this extraordinary event. Now, there could well be, as soon as I release the dates, you can climb on to all the hotels and bed and breakfasts that do exist in the island, make phone calls, and you never know, there might be a spare single bedroom, might be a double or something, might be, but there isn't, nothing showing up unless you call them. So for those of you who are that way inclined, that's okay. I am, however, also going to call the Abbey today, because they have an open week, and I've attended an open week thousands of years ago in the Abbey, and participated in an open week, which involves taking your turn at, you know, cleaning out, sweeping up, you know, tidying places, assisting in construction or maintenance work, washing the dishes. Don't recommend it, I did that. Serving food, all that sort of stuff. And whilst that's wonderful in the context of a community on a retreat of their type, that would get in the way of ours. So I don't know whether they'd be up for it, but I'm going to have a chat with them, you never know, because they've got nice accommodation, more dormitory like as I remember it, but nevertheless it's all indoors. So I'll look at that as well, and then hopefully by the end of the week I'll put the thing up, and hopefully people will scramble to get themselves on the programme. And you know, it will be amazing. It will just be amazing. The reason why likes, for example, Little Cumbria wouldn't work, George's wonderful suggestion, is I need lots of stimuli, because there are 2 synchronicity walks involved in the original island course. Day 1 and day 2, where you go out and you walk about and attract whatever source wants you to find. And it's quite profound, and people who did the retreat recently just were exposed to that in abundance. So that's why Iona offers that in a particularly unique way. So, but the other thing, just a little aside, when I went over there the last time and I had these unemployed people and we were staying in the Camas Outdoor Centre place, beautiful location, dormitory accommodation. One of the things that I managed to arrange was because most of the guys were men, and some of the girls as well were happy to play, is create a football match between our group and Bunessan, the village that's nearest Iona, to play against their little football team, their football team on the football pitch. And so it was 11-a-side, and you know what? The goalkeeper for Bunessan was Benetti. Yes, Benetti, the world famous Chelsea goalkeeper and England goalkeeper, who by then was the postman for that part of Mull. And what an amazing man he was. I don't know if he's still about, but he was so gracious, he was so wonderful, and we had the joy of playing against him, and 1 or 2 of my guys scored a goal. And but I played sweeper, and I think I had the best match of my life, to be honest. I love playing football, and it was just superb. But think about it, what an amazing man to be globally known, and yet to humble himself to go and live in a village like Bunessan and be the postman. When you take the bus through, if you take the bus through to Iona and you go past Bunessan, you'll get a feel for what a remarkable man. So that's going to be a joy. Now here's another reason why Iona is just perfect. Obviously I live in Canterbury, I'm going to have to get myself up to Glasgow. But then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the train. You see, the train journey from Glasgow up to Oban, it's just one of those train journeys that are train journeys of a lifetime. But as if that's not enough, you arrive into Oban and you get the ferry and you go up the Sound of Mull. On the left hand side there's a stunning castle. You go past that and then you get on to Mull, and then you take the bus across Mull. The journey itself is truly outstanding, and then to cap it all, you have the majesty of Iona and the instant experience of stepping on it, and the wow. And again, being selfish about it, I'm not even going to book into one of these pods, but I'd be more than happy to do that. I want to be able to sleep in my £19 tent on the land of Iona. And if we get balmy evening or balmy nights, good chance in May, then sleeping out in the fresh air. Wow. So, realise some of you need what you need to feel safe being out and about. Apparently there's 5 showers. You can even make a cup of tea or something there. Of course, if you're coming, you're going to have to think about what you're going to be eating and how you're going to do that. So you're going to have to check the reality of that. I'm probably going to bring beef jerky if I get stuck. I can always survive on that. Maybe a 3-day fast wouldn't be the end of the world either, doing this course. But there you go, that's me, keto man, or carnivore man more likely. So there you have it. That's the update. You'll know soon enough. And when I announce it, we'll announce it at the same time as sending out emails, so everybody gets a fair crack at it. So there you go, happy days. Oh, by the way, I am going to charge for the course. It would be £50 a day, so that's £100 plus VAT. But there is the hire of the hall. I don't want to bear that, and that's going to be £100 a night. So once we get there, we can chuck in a fiver or something, and that'll be that. Okay, folks. So have a cracking week. I fully intend to, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye now.